welcome to the BiG Scuba Podcast. Thanks for downloading. Time to get on board and let's go diving. Mind those ropes.
So, hi, my name is Dan. I'm on the BiG Scuba Podcast with Gemma and Ian. And I'm a scuba diver since 1989, I think. And I'm a free diver. I actually teach free diving occasionally. So I love ocean and I'm, really happy to be part of this.
Hello and welcome to the BiG Scuba Podcast. This is episode 226. Coming at you, my name is Ian, and with me in the camper van is...
Hello, my name is Gemma. Welcome to the BiG Scuba Podcast.
Yes, this comes to you with the lovely people of Narked at 90. Let me tell you, they are beyond technical. And also, Auto Trail, we are in the Expedition 68 Extra Large.
XL.
And I've been away in this weekend, which is really good.
Yeah, enjoying it?
Yeah, it's nice. I had heavy rain here last night, actually, funny enough. And my first night away in the camper van and see how we got on with it.
Yeah, it's a learning curve, isn't it? We're sort of testing different things as we go along.
Well, you've got to set it all up and then, do all that. Make sure you've got this turned on, that turned on, and
we've mastered the heating and the hot water today.
Well, yeah, but the main thing is I've got the gas going because I, got to make cup of tea. Yeah. Anyway, enough of that for the moment. Let me tell you, we have a guest, and his name is
Dan Frolec. So Dan made contact with us because he wrote a book. And
okay.
Yes, so he's come on the podcast to talk about his diving and his experience, which culminated in this book called
Brilliant.
The Cave.
Excellent. Okay. So, right, let's talk about the news before we get to Dan Frolec and the Cave book.
Yeah.
News. What news have you seen since we last recorded? I see O3 have got a new ambassador.
They have, and it's a previous guest, Barry McGill, who's a wreck diver.
Yeah. Done lots of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you want to listen to that episode, go back. Must be about a year since we had Barry on.
No, I wouldn't say it's a complete. I reckon he's in the 200s.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and he's recently obviously got this ambassador award, but he's also been heavily involved in the Britannic and penetration and recovering some artefacts on the Britannic. So, yeah, amazing diving.
Talking about Britannic, Dom from Deep Wreck Diver, he's been down there as well, hasn't he, recently?
Yes, yeah.
A lot on Facebook, a lot on YouTube. He's been sharing about these dives down there. Looks pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's great how some of our guests, we're sort of following their stories now. They're popping up all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to know more about the Britannic, so both of them guys can share more about the Britannic, and there'll be others. But yeah, Dom's just been down there as well. So and he's actually been involved with another dive when they've been looking at they just discovered this wreck off Cornwall's coast.
80 kilometres off Newquay.
Yeah, pretty
so,
Tampa.
Nice that it's
US
off
Coast Guard ship.
Yeah, it's good that it's, as our coastline is completely littered with shipwrecks, a lot of them very, very deep, but they are finding
It's
these.
quite a sad one because that went down with all hands. About 100 and I think it was 111 was actually on the boat. Went down, plus another 20 from I think Royal Marines or our Navy were on board as well. So it's quite a sad one. It went down. I think got torpedoed.
Yeah, but good they found it because it gives closure to some of the people that are obviously closely involved with it. Yeah.
So if you want to know about that, it's all on Dominic's website, Dominic's Facebook page at the moment. So have a look at that. I was looking at funny enough. There's a U-boat would be quite interesting to locate, and that's U-boat 47, and that was the one that was with Gunter Preen, who was the skipper, and it's a famous U-boat and skipper because he was the one who torpedoed the Royal Oak up at Scapa, and in March 41, and he'd never been found.
Wow.
So that U-boat went down all hands, and they think it went down somewhere off the coast of Ireland as well.
So it could be in quite deep water.
Yeah. But it'd be good even though he was on the other side, he's still family involved and stuff, so it'd be good to one day find out where that U-boat went.
Maybe it's on Dominic and Barry's radar.
Wouldn't be surprised. I'd say it's on quite a few of the wreck divers' radar. I'd say that one.
Yeah. We've got our local dive centre celebrated 25 years of business, so that's just amazing for a dive centre.
Chris and Polly, well done.
Yeah, well done. So and it's great to see all the comments from all the dive team, which you're a member of. So,
I've got to say, hey, I've played a little tiny part in that, and something I've enjoyed over the years, and should be doing some more this year with a bit of luck. Yeah,
and I've done my dive training with them, and Honey has done. So it's been really good, and
it's fair play because there's a lot of hard work going into there's a lot of organising, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of things go on behind the scenes, which for somebody who just rocks up and what to do their paddy open water, won't ever see, and it is thanks to people like Chris and Polly who've said, back in the day, let's start a dive centre in Norwich because there isn't much, there isn't anything, so let's do it.
Yeah, and I think it started in their dining room.
Yeah,
now it's they've got their own dive centre, pool. Yeah, and a great team around.
Yeah, one of the few dive centres actually got their own, pool on site, which is pretty cool and good because it makes training so much easier when you've got access from the whole time to your own pool, which is actually designed for diving. It's not just a lot of dive centres have to hire a swimming pool, which is not designed for that.
We'll put a link to the website in the show notes because they organise holidays, and you don't have to be local to the area to go on those holidays. Even there are people from all over.
They're a dive centre that tests tanks, sell kit,
service regs,
service regs, you name it, and that's well done to them.
Good. What else have we got on the list? Narked at 90, our podcast sponsors. They had a bit of maintenance going on their website
on Saturday,
just this weekend.
Bit of an update.
Yeah, so if you tried to log on to order something and you came up against,
get back on there because it's up and running. It's ready for your business.
Yes, again, our link is in the show notes, so check them out for all technical diving equipment, recreational diving equipment, and servicing of dive computers as well.
And let me just tell you about the I've been away this weekend, this bank holiday weekend, in the Auto Trail Expedition 68 XL, and it's very nice, I have to say. And drives nice.
Does,
lots of room. Comfortable bed, got everything you want from a camper van. Got big garage, which I like. A big garage, get lots of kit.
So we'll be putting diving kit in there as well at some point.
I think you had your paddle boards in here last week, didn't you?
Going to put some bikes in as well in the near future. Take it out for a bike expedition.
So you'll be seeing more of this on our social media. It's good. We enjoy working with exciting companies and
UK based as well.
UK. There's a sticker on the back that says "Made in the UK." In this day and age, we've got we've got to support our local companies as well. So as well as worldwide ones as well.
It's equipped with a full oven, a lovely big fridge, so you can live hooked up to the electric or off grid quite easily. Solar panel on the roof.
In fact, you could go camping in this, couldn't
you? You could.
I hadn't thought about that. Why don't we go camping?
It's got a camper van.
I wonder what everyone was doing in this on this field. All these people.
We're on one of the fields here with there's a lot. Well, there's only one motorhome on, and the rest are caravans.
There's another motorhome over there.
Older one. So.
And lots of caravans.
Lovely and peaceful though. You might be able to hear the birds. They might pick up on the audio.
Excellent. Right. So that was that. Should we get our guest on?
Yes.
And have a little chat with him. Before you do that, do you want to have a read out of part of the book?
Yes, so this is a few sentences about the book.
And then we'll get straight in with our guest.
Imagine your long-awaited trip of a lifetime becoming the worst nightmare ever.
Oh, no.
I remember being so enamoured by this fantastic tale. The twists and turns were incredible. That comes from Grammy and Emmy-winning music producer. So, in 2002, a group of friends set sail along the stunning Croatian coast for an unforgettable adventure of sailing, diving and discovery. Then everything goes wrong.
What could possibly go wrong? Tell me.
During a dive into a mysterious underwater cave, one of them disappears into the darkness. A desperate search follows. Navy divers are called in. One friend never comes back. What begins as a tragic accident quickly spirals into something much darker. 2 days after the author and another friend are arrested and accused of murder.
Oh, blimey. Right, okay, well, let's get him on.
Yeah, let's find out how the tale unfolds. So this is Dan Frolec.
Excellent. Well, you're in the right place, Dan. You're speaking to us from Bali, so amazing. One of the first questions we like to ask, Dan, is what does being underwater mean to you?
Yeah, I love, there are many things. I mean, but the first thing which I would probably mention are the animals and the nature. Underwater, as you guys know, of course, animals are quite close to you, and they sometimes even come to check you out, right? That's not normally happening in the forest. In the forest, you have to really go and look for the animals, and they try to hide. That's not the case in the underwater world. So I love the animals and be around, and I also love the peace and this kind of special experience of being in an environment which is not normally people's environment.
Yeah,
that's good.
So what made you start your scuba journey?
Well, we need to go back to when I was a little kid. I mean, when I was a little kid, I was interested in nature quite a lot. And for some reason, I was really interested in sharks. Even I come from Czech Republic, or I was born in back then socialist Czechoslovakia, which is a landlocked country. I always were into sharks. And when I was a little kid, I knew all the shark names and the Latin names, quite a crazy kid, you might say. And that somehow, and my first book I read was 20,000 Miles Under the Sea by Jules Verne. I mean, believe it or not, So I was always somehow drawn to ocean and underwater world. And then when I think when the borders opened in '89, one of the first things I did was I bought a pair of pair of fins and snorkel and mask, and I went to Croatia or Slovenia, I don't remember, for some snorkeling. And I think that was then led into me doing a scuba diving course, and diving in different places around the world. And then later free diving. I started free diving, and at the end I also teach free diving, which is really beautiful to share this opportunity to open the window a little bit to people which are interested, open this window to the underwater world to others. I think that's a bit of a shortcut, but maybe you have some more questions about that.
No. Wow.
So which agency did you do your diving qualifications with?
Oh, so it was CMAS. So in Czech Republic, I think CMAS or PADI would be the two kind of obvious choices. So I did CMAS because I thought this kind of club where you join which will happen across different dives. So I chose CMAS, and that was also which somehow was available back there.
Yeah, and which did you start doing your sort of standard? Did you do advanced, rescue? How far up the ladder did you go?
Yes, so in CMAS you would have like 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and then so I became a 2-star diver, which is probably equivalent of dive master or rescue diver in PADI. Yeah? And then I did Trimix, not Trimix. I did Nitrox certification with TDI, and last but not least, I went to Florida later, and I did introduction to cave diving certification with another like specialized cave diving organization. So that was a bit of a journey there. And then for free diving, I'm instructor of Apnea Academy, which is focusing like dedicated to free diving.
Wow, amazing. Yeah. So what made you want to go into cave diving?
Oh, well, now we are probably, talking about we have to talk about the book a little bit and about the crazy story which, the book is about. So, I mean, in a nutshell, what happened is that our club, we went to Croatia for a scuba diving trip with a bunch of friends, and we found what seemed to be like an entrance to a cave or like a shallow hole. We didn't know what it is, and very tragically, one of our friends, one of our colleague divers, got lost in the cave and died. And in the rescue operation, another diver, a Croatian Navy diver, died in the cave system. So it was two dead people, and and I was suspected of murder with another person from the boat. It was really like a crazy story before it was all cleared up. And then, but coming back to your question, Gemma, I was not qualified to dive in the caves back then. So I couldn't really go down into the cave once we realized it's a complex cave system. There was only one person there who was a cave diving instructor who could go down, and I couldn't. And that really bothered me. I couldn't basically help, even though it wouldn't help at that time, I guess. But I really felt like I couldn't go down, and I felt bothered by that. So later, I went to Florida and I did a cave diving certification because I somehow thought, hey, that's a skill which is really useful. And I was also kind of attracted to this kind of exploration. Nevertheless, I must say that then kids were born, and I kept scuba diving and free diving, but I stopped cave diving. I didn't pursue that further because I kind of thought, I mean, recreational scuba diving, as you know, is very safe sport or activity if people follow the rules. But cave diving is not that safe. I mean, cave diving is dangerous, and I kind of didn't want to risk that, with small kids in the family. So I think that was a bit of my journey about the caves.
So to go back, if we can go back a little bit, before the dive that happened where your two friends died, and your diving buddies. So you'd not done any diving in caves before at all, and so you was on a dive and then just saw this cave and thought.
Oh no! So I mean, the story is like this. I mean to answer. So I was in some caverns before. When you find some, where you find some underwater space, and then you can see the light still. So we would go to places like that. No problem at all. But here, what happened was that we were planning the day before. We were looking at the nautical charts with the captain of the sailing boat, and we were basically planning the trip. Where are we gonna go next day? What are we gonna do? I mean, we usually do like 2 or 3 dives per day, and then there was a circle in one of the bays by pencil. So somebody added this circle, and we said, okay, what is this? And our captain said, hey, there is like a hole in the seabed. Imagine in a 10-meter depth, there is a hole in the seabed, like 2 times 3 meters, something like that, elliptic, shape. And we don't know what it is, he said, because we were there with a bunch of people sailing and snorkeling, and we didn't have any scuba diving equipment with us back then. So we just put it, he just marked it on and we all said, okay, fantastic, this is so interesting. We anyway wanted to go to that island and stay there overnight. Let's go for an afternoon kind of night dive, and let's on that dive, let's also have a look what it is, right? So we didn't know it's a cave. And then arrived there, we go diving, and they will explore what is the hole, and then they would also then maybe continue the dive, or who later died. He went with them snorkeling. He didn't want to go scuba diving because it was already like a 3rd dive in the day, but he said, I will go with you just to have a look. And so he went. And then they all kind of left, and then he came back to the boat, like maybe 10 minutes later, and he said, it's a cave because I saw them going down, and it didn't come back. They didn't come back immediately, which kind of meant, his explanation was correctly, that it's a cave, and they went down. So he put all his equipment, in a rush, and then he said, okay, I'm going to join them. And I was on the boat, I wasn't diving, and I was on the boat, and I kind of didn't even occur to me that he's going alone, because normally you should not go diving alone, right? But he he said, I'm joining them, right? And it was the entrance to the cave was probably like, I don't know, 20 meters from the boat, somewhere,
He didn't know
under
who those people were.
No. He only saw them entering the chimney.
So he was just going to join in.
That's right.
Wow.
So what happened was that later only we found out that he missed them by 4 minutes. So they went down, they discovered it's a cave system, and the cave instructor said, hey, we should not be here, this is dangerous, none of the people, he just basically said, let's stop it, get out,
Yeah.
So they came out and they continued the dive like in a shallow bay in the area. And
Wow.
our friend, he basically missed them by 4 minutes from the computer.
And they didn't realize he'd
Because you could see the depth and everything. So basically, when they were at that depth, they continued to dive in the bay.
Yeah.
He went and he didn't see them, so he thought he must have been. We don't know, right? But this is basically most probable situation that he basically he didn't see them, so he went down. And as he went down, he carried on in order to find them, and then he got lost. What happens in these kind of underwater caves, which are really unexplored, one can say that nobody goes there very often. What happens is that there is a crystal clear visibility. So if you swim there, and maybe you've been to places like that, if you just for the listeners, what is important to explain, when you swim there, usually it's a crystal clear visibility.
Yeah.
But what happens is that not only people might disturb the silt with their fins, but also bubbles will disturb like fine silt which is attached to the ceiling, right? And that we saw later when the cave diving instructor and also later the Navy divers went there, they basically were talking about very poor visibility. So what happens is that basically you swim there and it's all crystal clear, and then you turn around and you can't see anything.
Yeah.
That's right. It looks like a slow kind of snowing, if you like, So what happened to him is that he got lost in the cave. He was looking. There was only one exit, which was basically a narrow hole under the surface. The cave system had like two caverns, with some corridors around that. So he basically got lost, and he was swimming in the cave for like 40 minutes or 45 minutes until his air ran out. And then what happened was that he basically tried to finish that suffering, and he took out his body when he was kind of drowning, right? So that's what most likely happened, even though, he was obviously there alone. So quite a tragic story, but also kind of reminder that we really shouldn't dive alone unless there are some very specific circumstances.
Was he actually a cave diver? Was he cave qualified, or did he enter that?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. And again, remember, we didn't know it's a cave. We only found out, by going there. And those people who were there at the beginning, they came out and they didn't see him, so they didn't have a chance to talk, of course, right? So he also must have been thinking, okay, they are there, I'll just find them. Let's see what happens, right? And nobody expected that, the hole, which is 2 times 3 meters, and there is a vertical chimney from 10 to 22 meters, has then under like 2 domes, which are different. The deepest point of the cave was 54 meters, if I recall well.
That's deep.
Oh.
Yeah.
So how well did you know him?
Also, this was our club. I remember I was talking about doing a certification in CMAS. CMAS is, I think, similar to the British system, where you do education in the clubs, right? If I know something about it, maybe not enough. So this was the scuba diving club. So my friend, we knew each other for several years of diving together. I think I started 89 and it was 2002, so it was around 2 or 3 years. And he was on some dives my buddy. So we probably had like 50 dives together. And we didn't know each other like outside of diving, if you see what I mean, but we always met with the club. We were training in the pool. Then occasionally we would go for the weekend dive somewhere in Czech Republic in the quarries. I mean, you guys in the UK know very well what is diving in the quarries. Yeah, it's dark and there is nothing to see and it's cold, you know. But nevertheless, we still go, right? And so we were diving together for some time. Yeah, so yeah, it was definitely, you know, losing a friend, losing a diving buddy.
Yeah,
Sad.
So then the rescue operation took place. So did you raise the alarm, obviously, when he didn't come back for an hour or so? So obviously when your friend didn't appear, alarms were raised, and a rescue operation obviously started quite quickly, did it? Or
Oh, what happened was this. I mean, so the 4 people who were diving came back. By the time it was it was evening already. It was dark, right? You know, because we started in the afternoon, and so they came back, and they were like, they start talking. Okay, it's a cave. We must go. We must explore it. You know, further next day, and then la la la. And then I said, where is Michael? And they said, oh, we didn't see him. And I said, well, he left the boat and he went. You know, he followed you, right? And at that moment, we realized he must be, I mean, most likely in the cave. So what we did, and this was, imagine, it's a kind of remote island in Croatia. There is no help anywhere near. And even if there was, I mean, you need to have a specific cave diving qualification in order to do that. So what we did was that we agreed, okay, so some people will take a Zodiac, a rubber boat, and will go around the bay to see whether he's not maybe lost somewhere, you know, outside of the cave. And then the cave diving instructor and myself, we went down, but I didn't go down because basically Tom, the cave diving instructor, said you are not allowed to go down. Take a spare tank with you with air, because he will have a problem. Even if I find him, maybe he will have a large decompression penalty. So I took a spare tank, you know, and he took a new tank, you know, and basically what happened, then he took a line, and, you know, I mean, he didn't have a proper equipment, but nevertheless, we can improvise a little bit, because we thought this is I mean, if he's lost in the cave, it's the only chance. We are his only chance, right? So, Tom went down, and I stayed laying on the next to the entrance, right? So it was 10-meter depth. I was just there. It was so weird. I can't really explain it properly, I guess, because I mean, I was really thinking, okay, now, so what if they come back? How will it look like? What if Tom doesn't come back? Do I go down to search for them, you know, or not? You know, and at the same time, it was this, like, you are alone underwater. You can see this water surface kind of like glistening and moving a little bit, yeah, and it's so peaceful. It's just so like serene, because I mean there was no even bubbles from Tom, because once he entered the cave, there were bubbles when he was descending, but once he entered the cave system, there was even no bubbles. So imagine I was just there on my own for around maybe 25 minutes, because of course Tom already had decompression from multiple dives, you know, so he only had so much time, you know, at the depth, right? So anyway, so then he came back, and I was really relieved that he came back. But he didn't find Michael, and then what happened was that then we interrupted the dive, went up, we called the Coast Guard. Coast Guard said nothing to do now. There's like 10 or 11 p.m. We will come in the morning. Yeah. Sleepless night, of course, discussing here and there, what can we do, what we should do, calling people around, you know, in Czech who are cave divers. Do you know this cave? Anybody has a plan? Nobody knew anything. So it was quite a night, of course. And then what happened was the next day, a Croatian police boat arrived with 2 Navy divers. And to our horror, they didn't have any cave diving equipment. So they basically had like single tanks, single regulators, you know. They seem to be qualified divers with many dives, obviously, or I mean, we don't know, but they seem to be competent divers from the Navy. But and they even like didn't have any torches, so they basically borrowed nothing. So nothing. So we told them, guys. I mean, we talked to the commander, and we said, guys, this is really like so dangerous. I mean, I don't know. We don't know whether your experience, but based on what you see, you know, you don't have equipment for exploring the caves, you know. So this is something which you shouldn't do. And they said, don't worry, this is like, this is no problem, our guys are so experienced. So, and we are like, okay, whatever. I mean, what can we say, right? I mean, there is a Navy and police basically telling us what they will do. So that's what they did. And it just so happens that only one surfaced. Later, I think it was realized, later they said they hear the decompression sickness even, I don't know. But one person got missing and didn't come back. So now, I mean, me and Tom went again with full tanks and a spare tank to the cave. I mean, same thing like last night. So Tom went down. I was waiting at the entrance with the spare tank. If they come back, they might need to spend some time at the depth, to breathe. He didn't find him. So now basically there were two people in the cave.
It's been quite traumatic experience in that.
Yeah, it was, Gemma. It was traumatic, and at the same time, I think at that moment we were still in the a rescue mission, right? So our mind, at least most people, or definitely I can speak for myself and Tom, our mind was, okay, we need to do everything we can, to find at least, to give them a little bit of a chance, and we are the only one who can help, right? So I think the tragedy of it, I think, hit us only later. Aftermath, and of course there was a jail, a custody, and all this, which is another kind of story included in that. But I think at that moment we were focusing on helping as much as we can the people who are lost, rather than thinking about the tragedy. That really was like only afterwards. Yeah.
Good example of overconfidence, isn't it, on that last person?
Sorry, say again, Ian?
Good example of overconfidence, going in without proper training and things like that, just because you're part of the services. You still need to know what you need to do and have the right equipment.
This episode is brought to you by Narked at 90, the cutting-edge pioneers in the world of diving equipment. Meet the founders, John Routley and Brent Hudson, who have logged thousands of mixed gas dives over the past 3 decades. About 20 years ago, these experienced technical divers combined their passion for diving and engineering skills to create Narked at 90. Whether you're new to diving and ready to take it up a notch, have a fair amount of experience, or are considering a transition into technical diving, we highly recommend Narked at 90. They're ready to advise on the best equipment and setup for your personal and commercial needs. Narked at 90 also has extensive hands-on experience with shearwater and ratio dive computers, being the longest-serving UK service centre for these brands. They're ready to offer technical support, servicing, repairs and upgrades for all shearwater and ratio computers, past and present. In addition to shearwater and ratio, Narked at 90 stocks and supports many other brands, such as DiveSoft, JJCCR, Hollis, Revo and Kiss rebreathers. The diving community is always enthusiastic about Narked at 90, and it's easy to see why. Here are just a few reasons. Full head servicing for rebreathers from various manufacturers, bespoke cable assemblies, advice on specific fitting requirements, suggestions and guidance for home builds, computer laser cutting and engraving, CNC milling and turning, pressure testing to simulate 400-metre dives. We're thrilled to partner with Narked at 90, a company that has ignited so much passion for diving and has been incredibly supportive and innovative in producing and selling dive equipment. Visit narkedat90.com to see why they're a renowned name in diving. Stay updated on their insights and offers by following them on social media. Just search for Narked at 90 on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and hit that follow button.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a bit hard to judge that because, of course, now with my experience, and of this tragic event and later learning about cave diving, now I understand that recreational scuba diving is something, and then cave diving, it's like going to Mount Everest without oxygen with flip-flops, So it's I mean, it's still scuba diving, but I mean, you obviously know, and probably your listeners are aware of that, but maybe some of them not, right? So it might be that they just simply underestimated how serious undertaking it is, to search for somebody in an unknown cave. They didn't have a plan, they didn't have a drawing, nothing, right? So I would say that
no local knowledge.
Yeah, nothing. It's probably part of education to understand that. Yeah, exploring holes underwater is interesting. Nevertheless, we must know a little bit, what we're doing before trying anything more complicated. I guess that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. Confidence only get you so far. The rest of it's training and, remembering your training, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So eventually Michael was found by another rescue team.
Oh, then, we didn't see that. They told us then there was a bit of a panic, on the boat. And of course, we were also kind of like, oh my God, now what's happening? And they told us to move the boat to Split, which was like a capital of that area. And then, and then report to the police station to give a testimony of what happened. And then what we learned later is that then they summoned a special team, I guess. And that team then found both divers in the cave. The Croatian Navy diver was lost in some kind of parallel chimney, which we even didn't notice back then, or Tom wasn't talking about it. And our friend was found at the depth of 54 meters at the bottom of the cave.
Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty thing to happen. Yeah.
So just on that point, the guy who jumped in on the day one, what was he on? Single tank, did you say?
Yeah, we only had a single tank, so we didn't have anything else.
Dive computer, do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, dive computer.
Yeah. So
do you have a torch, anything like that?
Yes, he had not a proper cave diving torch, which can last for hours, but but he had basic kind of underwater torch, which we would use to explore little caverns and holes or for the night dives, So he had a torch like this.
And then just on a single 12-liter tank.
I think it was 15 liter. We would use 15-liter steel tanks.
Yeah. And then from that discovery of the body, you then found yourself in jail being accused of.
Oh yeah, well, definitely it was a kind of tragic event. The Croatian police claimed that they found our friend with his knife in the chest, but they didn't tell us, right? So what happened was that they put us in the lie detector, and then during this lie detector interrogation, they basically said, "And he was killed. And did you kill him? And did you use knife? And and how did?" So, and then later they claimed that me and another friend from the boat basically didn't pass through the lie detector test, and because they had a body and they had a knife and they had this, they basically put us into custody for further investigation. And I think, on one side, of course, there was a dead person, and there was another dead, Navy diver, which, of course, fully justifies some investigation. 100%. Nevertheless, what happened then was that they really were like, okay, it's clear, you guys did it. You go to custody, and only after 5 weeks. So we spent 5 weeks in a custody. And the 5 weeks basically was different expertise, and autopsy and here and that, and actually the outcome was the only possibility was that he got lost in the cave, and when he was suffering, he tried to finish the suffering with his own knife, and then we couldn't. There were many reasons why we couldn't have done it. His ears were intact, and you have to equalize when you are descending. So if he was dead from the surface, he couldn't equalize, and his eardrums would pop, right? So I think that's one thing. The other thing was that dive computer was clearly showing that he was alive for 45 minutes, swimming in the depth under the ceiling of the cave at around 22 to 23 meters, trying to look for the exit. And once his air was exhausted, the line dropped to 54 meters when they later found him, So and there were some other things. So actually, there was never a court case even. The judge basically dismissed all these stories from the police, and he said, look, this is nonsense. They couldn't have done it. Nobody could be involved in this. He clearly got lost. And even though, of course, people get lost in the underwater caves, but there is not a recorded case in the history, but somebody would try to finish this with his own knife, so that was quite extraordinary. And there was a lot of discussion in all the scuba forums back then, and about how is this possible, and who would do it and who wouldn't do it. Nevertheless, that's what happened. So there was never a court case because the judge basically dismissed all the police hypothesis. And after 5 weeks, we were released and came back to Czech Republic.
Yeah, I guess also you don't know what was going through his mind, or whether he was getting a bit narked underwater. It's difficult to know, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, I mean, swimming like this in such a stressful situation definitely might create a nitrogen narcosis. I think that's one. Also, frankly, and I was kind of thinking, I don't know whether you can imagine, but can you imagine this? Like, you now underwater cave, probably his light ran out before his air, because this was like a simple small torch, right? So I don't know, but it might have run out before. So then you are in complete darkness, you are lost, and there is a really low chance. I think the state of panic which a person can be in can be quite extraordinary. Again, I don't know, maybe he wasn't, maybe he was. I mean, I was definitely, a lot of adrenaline and fast breathing and all. So anyway, so I think this was definitely, that's something which is very hard to imagine. Quite extraordinary story.
Absolutely, wow. Yeah. And did you decide to write a book about it shortly? What was the time scale from?
Oh, so no, but listen, I mean, I was working for, I mean, I came back, and then there was all this like discussions and thinking and like what really happened. We got compensation from Croatian government for like unjustified custody. We also sued one of the newspapers because one of the newspapers were publishing like homosexuals fighting on the boat, killing each other with full names, I mean, crazy. I mean, Balkan, like 90s in Balkan. So really, so we sued the newspaper. We won that case, so they had to apologize. So, and then my kids were born, and I was also working for a multinational company, quite a busy job. So I always had the idea that maybe one day it can be a book or a movie, and what I had was a journal from the custody. So every day I was writing a journal, how I feel, what's happening, what are the arguments for our defense, what I'm gonna do if I stay here for 40 years, all these different thoughts which you can imagine run through one's head when he's in the custody for something that I haven't committed. Anyway, I had this journal. But then life took over, and 20 years I had the journal in the cellar, and somehow I kind of forgot about it. But occasionally I would tell the story. So I just told you, and there was some other things going on there. But I would tell the story, and people who would listen, my friends or some people, would say, "Oh my God, this is crazy! It's a movie, it's a book. You have to write it down." So at the end, I said, okay, fine. There was my friend here in Bali, Canadian lady who was involved with the movie industry, said, okay, write it down, write a summary, like write 8-10 pages and I can show it to some people and let's see what happens. So I started writing a summary. It was 2023. Yeah? So 2023, I started writing a summary, and on the page 8, I was still in the pub when we were planning the trip. I just couldn't write a summary. I basically started writing the whole story, right? And then I said, okay, well, maybe you can write it down. Well, let's see what happens, right? So I started writing with a limited time. So it took me, I think 2023 was writing, 2024 was editing with an English editor, because as you can hear, my English is not my name, my first language. So sometimes, it's a mess what I say. Yeah. So editing, and then 2025 was kind of figuring out how to publish. And then now is a book. So it was published in January. I used a fantastic publisher from Wales, from Cardiff, and now it's out there. Yeah, so it was a bit of a journey. So first 20 years of doing nothing with it. Yeah. And then it took me last 3 years to kind of put it together.
Did he have family?
No, he was quite sad as well. I mean, he was the only child of a single mom. So he didn't have his own family.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, where did you used to carry his knife then? Because they're usually quite really difficult to get hold of, aren't they?
Well, we would. I mean, because where we, in Croatia or the Mediterranean, quite often you encounter some lost nets, like fishing nets, right?
Yeah.
So all of us would, as a part of, I don't know, maybe it came from from the founders of the club or from the instructors who basically taught us. They always had the like knife with. I mean, it's big, small, whatever it is, but something, right? If you get entangled under. Yeah, his knife was quite substantial. I mean, I don't remember, but yeah, it was quite substantial, right? So we were always told in our scuba diving education, always have a knife with you or a pair of scissors. If you get entangled underwater into something, it can be net, it can be a nylon, like a fishing gear. So you have to find your way out of it. So it was not surprising. I think we all, were having knives, and I think his was, if I recall well, either on the belt or on the leg. I mean, I don't remember these details.
Yeah. So did you continue to dive after that incident over the years?
Oh yeah. So I mean, yeah, this was 2002. Yes, I continued diving. Then one kid was born. And then I think we moved. When was it? No, that was before. So yeah, so I continued diving, and then even went to, as I said, to Florida to do a cave diving certification. So definitely I stay diving, and now both my son and daughter are diving. My son is 21, my daughter is 18. So they are both divers. Even though I didn't say anything, I was like, okay, you want to do it? I'm here to help you, but I wasn't pushing, so definitely scuba diving is a part of our family.
Yeah. So did they learn in Bali or elsewhere in the world?
No, how was it? I think they learned in Bali. Yes, because we were living in Prague, then we moved to Dubai in 2008. I was diving in Dubai in the Gulf, and then we moved to Bali 2016. So my daughter couldn't wait. My daughter was like, okay, when can I dive? When can I dive? So when she turned 10, she did some discovery courses and these bubble makers or whatever it's called, and then so yeah, they learned in Bali in Indonesia.
Wow, a good place to learn.
Yeah, also,
that's
what's
right.
Bali like to dive in?
Oh, Bali is fantastic, and Indonesia is fantastic. I mean, in Bali you can have different depths, currents. You can have some shipwrecks. I mean, there's a famous shipwreck in the north of Bali called SS Liberty. It's a 100-meter long ship, which is scuttled just next to the shore, so you can access from the beach. Nice. And it's from like 8 to 30 meters depth, so it's fantastic wreck because it's very easy. And normally wrecks are like, I don't know, I was diving Scapa Flow, for example. I don't know whether you've been to Scapa Flow, around the corner from your place. I mean, those ships are 40-meter deep, and it's dark and it's cold, so Indonesia in that respect is great. The water is warm, 25 to 29 degrees. And of course, I mean, there are also corals. There is a lot of sea life. And if you go further from Bali around Indonesia, you can go to Raja Ampat, which is part of Coral Triangle, where it's like the most beautiful coral in the world. If you go to Komodo National Park, you can see manta rays, you can see schools of fish, you can see whale sharks. So Indonesia is very fruitful for scuba diving.
Yeah, the visibility sometimes I've heard can be a little bit hit and miss there.
It depends, yeah. So it depends on the season. It depends on the rain. When there's a lot of rain, of course, if the corals are spawning, sometimes they would mess up the visibility. But it's very, and sometimes there are waves, so especially on certain places, waves will disturb the sand. But so you can have visibility. I mean, minimum would be like 15 meters, so I think 15 would be the minimum which you can encounter up until 20, 30 meters, I would say.
Wow.
So it's not too bad.
No, that's good.
It's good.
Yeah, and you've mentioned free diving. So what made you want to learn free diving and go take that further?
Oh, honestly, I mean, when I decided not to continue cave diving, I get a bit bored with like a normal scuba diving, I guess. And so I wasn't diving that much, but I was missing the ocean. And somebody said, try free diving. And I said, okay, let's try it. And I got into it. I really got into it. And I was like, wow, so that's another level of experience. And then my kids started diving, which brought me back to scuba diving. So now I'm kind of, mixing the both because I enjoy diving now, or with friends. We go diving. So, but free diving was new. I wouldn't spearfish for some reason. I don't feel comfort. I mean, I like to eat fish. Don't take me wrong. But somehow I feel not comfortable with with shooting the fish myself. So I wouldn't spearfish, but some of my friends do.
Yeah. And do you think doing free diving and going through the process of learning has benefited your scuba diving?
Oh, 100%. Breathing, which we would learn in free diving, which is abdominal breathing into the diaphragm, slow inhale, slow exhale. That makes you calm or calmer, let's say. And then second, as a result, there's less air consumption. So there is a direct benefit. And then, of course, free diving, you are really moving underwater. So I would guess that you learn how to move underwater in a very like hydrodynamic, kind of like an easy and elegant way. And of course, that you can then use for scuba diving as well, I guess. So I think technique is important in free diving much more than scuba diving, and then you can apply it in scuba diving as well.
I think that's something that often gets missed in scuba diving is that old analogy of a Christmas tree, with all these bits and pieces all hanging off a diver, and
that's right.
How much drag that is and how much more effort that is, and I think it's something that we can all work on as time goes on, isn't it? With buoyancy and making sure, everything is all streamlined as best as possible.
No, 100%. I think one thing which came to mind is that, even though I don't continue cave diving, I definitely kept some lessons from there. So my equipment would be halcyon, small wing with the back plate, with the harness. There is nothing hanging. There is a big pocket on the wrist, or not on the wrist, on the hip. In that pocket, everything is stored there. So the hoses are neat. So yeah, I think I learned from some of the cave divers how you have to be in the cave. And that I think I applied in the recreational scuba diving, which is quite handy.
Side mount.
I don't dive side mount. I would dive with the tank in the back, but I would nevertheless use the wing and the back plate because then I don't need to have so much weight. I have a 3 kilo back plate, and then wing. So it's definitely more hydrodynamic configuration than some traditional BCDs.
Yeah.
Nice.
So on your free diving, what sort of depths are you making?
Oh, listen, so my maximum is, if you want to know that, people always go for these records, even though this is not my motivation. I really love just being there and relaxing and, being with the fish, but, or teaching. So my maximum is 35 meters. So I was in 35 meters and I can hold my breath in the pool, not moving for between 4 to 5 minutes, I guess. So this is nothing extraordinary if you look at competitive freedivers. For a normal person, it's quite okay, I guess. But I would typically dive to the depths between 10 to 20 meters. Yeah. Why? First of all, I teach, and I usually teach beginners. It's not my job. I teach as a hobby. So I would teach beginners, and usually we will end up anywhere between 8 to 15 to 20 meters, right? And also one can say that, especially in the tropical seas, everything is in those first 20 meters, right? If you go to Egypt, of course, there are interesting stuff happening, in the depth as well, and you can see some hammerhead sharks maybe or whatever. But about the coral and the coral fish, which are very easily accessible and visible, approachable as well, everything is in the shallows. So I would go to this kind of depths, most often.
Yeah, that's where the line.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, it must be amazing to do. So that's probably on our lists at some point to learn to free dive or experience it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, in the UK, I mean, of course, you need to go to the lake or quarry, so you need to have a wetsuit which is a little thicker, but nevertheless, I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So, have you ever dived around the UK? Oh, you mentioned Scapa Flow, but have you dived in any inland lakes in the UK or in the South
No,
Coast?
I didn't because then my education was in Czech Republic quarries, right? Same like the quarries in the so and then I think first our club then went to Egypt, and once I was in Egypt, I go like, oh my God, okay, forget the lakes, forget. So so that's what is beautiful though in Austria there are mountain lakes.
Yeah.
There is a lot of mountain lakes in Austria. I don't know whether you've been or not. And some of them are crystal clear visibility, and it's beautiful as well. So I dove in some fresh water. Also in the river is very interesting. If you have a chance to dive in the river, which is taking you, to places, I think that's fun. But most of my diving now, I think it's in the tropical waters. In the UK, I only been to Scapa Flow for some reason because our friends used to live in Orkneys. So we were there with the family for 3 years in a row in summer, and somehow I couldn't miss diving these big boats, So,
so you're a bit of a wreck diver, really.
I like it, even though it's not like a mission or whatever. I mean, I enjoy diving with the little fish, at 10 meters as well. But if there is an interesting shipwreck, there is one in the UK which I wanted to do. I think it's in Plymouth. And there is like a Navy frigate which is sunk there. Is it somewhere there? In the southern coast. I don't remember the name, but yeah, that is kind of on my list, but I never been.
So you mentioned your son is in Falmouth University, so you've got the ideal opportunity now to visit. And South Coast diving, there's so much to see.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, I'm once in a while. I mean, I am there. I must say, I was swimming in the ocean there. It's beautiful. It's chilly, But as you can imagine, I haven't been diving yet there. So it's kind of crazy. So I think that's something which I need to put on the list since you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the HMS Celia?
Yes, that's right. That's the one.
Yeah, that's the one that got sunk.
Is it possible? Is it accessible for recreational divers? I mean, I thought it was at the beginning.
Sometimes that fills with silt, from what I've heard. But that got sunk for people to to dive. It sits upright, and it was sunk in 2004.
Oh yeah, right. That is possible. But I mean, talking wrecked and talking diving, Orkneys and Scapa Flow are really fantastic. You can dive on these big boats which are sunk, from the First World War, and they're like 200-meter ships. It's crazy. You can't see. I mean, really what is happening. And then there are these channel boats as well, because what happened during the Second World War, I think English UK Navy sunk boats in these access channels to Scapa Flow so that German submarines couldn't enter. And there are these boats which are shallow, blocking basically access.
And it's a crazy boats, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. And it's a crazy current, So you have to jump from the boat, negative entry, boom, hide in the wreck, You see all this water which is rushing past, and then exit is basically just hold on for your dear life, So try it if you haven't,
Max depth to the Celia is 27 meters. And to the top is 24 meters. It's 113 meters long. So it's a big old wreck. Yeah, and it was sunk for people to dive, and quite a lot of work was done to make it safe so people can dive it. It's on the old list.
You were talking about which one, Ian? Which shipwreck?
Celia.
Right. Yeah.
So it's 113 meters long, 27 meters deep. So, and quite a lot of it was cut out of it to make it safe for people to dive it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So you see, so that might be an interesting one. As I said, I haven't been, but that's in kind of your area, I guess.
Yes. Well, the other side of the country for us. So, Yeah, it's not too far away, really.
Quite a long drive, but yeah, it's definitely accessible. So, yeah. So, what do you do in Bali, sort of on a day-to-day basis? What takes you to such a lovely place?
Yeah, so I mean, we moved here. So there are two stories. I mean, one is that we moved here because of Green School. There is a school in the jungle, which is like bamboo buildings, campus with the river, and it's really like educating kids about how to protect the nature, how to be stewards of our planet, what is really sustainable regenerative development, and of course there is a math and and literature and all this as well. So my wife kind of found that school, and that's why we moved to Bali because of that. And yeah, it was like a 2-year test, and now one kid graduated and one is graduating this year. So it was 10 years ago. So I think that's that really worked out well. And then what I do is I manage a construction and furniture company. So there is a company here called Bamboo Pure, which is building bamboo buildings, like a sophisticated, like 3-story, like a really beautiful bamboo buildings. So I'm helping the owners to manage that company, and we also have a bamboo treatment factory, and we have a furniture workshop, and we have Chop Value, which is recycling chopsticks and making some beautiful products from them. So yeah, that keeps me busy on a day-to-day basis, managing the company and figuring out how to build more bamboo buildings, except for
such a versatile
concrete.
thing, isn't it? Bamboo. Seeing more of it in clothing and cars and all sorts of things, products.
Yeah, and yeah, it's great. And the main thing is that basically the bamboo, it starts growing on its own, and in 4 years you can harvest it. So 4 years, basically, you harvest the bamboo column, and then you can use it for whatever you want. So I think in terms of regenerative economy, this is probably the most sustainable material there is, because of this, like a quite fast turnover. Because normal tree for wood would take this much, and if you need concrete, it's quite a toll for environment. Let's not get in. That's probably quite far from scuba diving, I guess. But anyway, you are right. Yeah, it's a very beautiful material. Yeah.
Yeah, so my clients have got that in their on their sites, and once they've got it, it kind of spreads really quick and grows really.
That's right. And, yeah. You need to keep cutting it because once you give it water, and in England there is not a lack of water, as I heard. Then
we have far too much of it. Yeah. So how long do a building last for? So you put a building.
Yeah. So. You have to treat it in a certain way, and then build in a certain way. So it cannot get wet. Okay, so we would treat it with some kind of like a special chemical so that insects wouldn't eat it, which is one problem. And then second is that you need to build so that bamboos are not on the ground and the roof is kind of overhanging, so that there is no water getting onto the bamboo. If that's the case and there is a regular maintenance, building would last you like 20, 30 years for sure.
Oh. Yeah. So it sits on like concrete plinths.
It could sit on concrete like pedestals, or if you want to make it more natural, you would use like a river rocks. So you can basically put rocks as a kind of foundation. In between maybe there is some kind of floor or whatever, but then bamboo columns would be sitting on these rocks. Yeah.
Well, it's all good because it's sustainable and recyclable as well, which is all what is good for the planet.
That's right. Yeah. The only thing is that, of course, here, for example, in Bali, you can see behind me, this is bamboo. It's kind of painted, but. And it's open. It's open. It's my office in the garden. It's a very small building, but it's open air, right? In Czech Republic or England, that's not very handy sometimes because you want to have it enclosed, right? So of course, bamboo can be used as the material indoors, for example. You can have like wall panels or tabletop, or things like that, if you like.
It's not just the temperature, but half your stuff would probably walking down the street after seriously leave your house.
Yeah, that's right.
My laptop going down the street. Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. So what's next on your scuba journey? Have you got any trips planned or? places you'd like to get to?
Oh, okay. So next is that my friend Will has a birthday in 2 weeks from now, and he will go diving to Menjagan Island, I guess, which is an island in the north of Bali, and it's beautiful coral. I mean, imagine coral like in Egypt, or so it's beautiful, and you can see some sharks, white tip and black tip sharks, usually swimming around, some tunas, anyway. So that's in 2 weeks, I think. We'll go there for like one night maybe, and scuba dive with a bunch of friends and have a couple of beers, I guess, in the evening. So that's one. And if you talk dreams, I mean, I would definitely recommend people to visit Raja Ampat and Komodo National Park. I mean, I've been to both, and I would definitely go back to Komodo National Park and Raja Ampat. It's all in Indonesia, and then one is known for strong currents and big fish, and the other one is for color, right? So these two are, and there are many other locations. So I think that's what I would say. And then I have this dream of diving with the whales. And I haven't done yet. I mean, there are some whales in Indonesia. You can see blue whales, you can see humpback whales, but usually you can't really, it's not very reliable, so you can't go on expedition and see, okay, we're going to dive with the whales. So I would like to go diving with the whales. That's one. And then last one is in Japan, they call it Mikimoto hammerheads. And there are these schools of hammerheads, which are like, imagine 1,000 hammerhead sharks swimming in the school. And as I said, it's somewhere there in Japan. I'm not exactly sure where. And usual visibility is fantastic. I think that's another one on the list, to imagine like being surrounded by hammerhead sharks. I mean, awesome. It's just probably awesome kind of experience. Yeah.
Yeah, well, so on your list then.
It's on the list. It's on the list. There are many places. Galapagos, I mean, there's so many places we can go to if we have time and money. Well, that's always the case, right?
Yeah. That's why we work.
Yeah, same here, and then go diving for the weekend. Yeah.
Cool. So we ask our guests some set questions, okay, and one of them is what gets you out of your comfort zone? What challenges?
Oh, I shouldn't say. Usually my son. He's so good at it. Yeah, not so much my daughter. I mean, we but I mean, my son is my biggest teacher because, and I love him, dearly. But he really can definitely find this kind of thing where he would go, and then so that's one thing which definitely gets me like, okay, how do I manage that, and how do I manage myself, my emotions, and all this, So I think that's one, and I mean, sometimes in my life, I mean, you can see I'm quite, talkative and, kind of hyperactive guy. So sometimes what happens is I load too much on my plate. Yeah. So I would have too many things happening, too much, book and then work and then family and then scuba diving and then, whatever else, So I sometimes feel like I'm out of my comfort zone because I want to manage all this and I want to, not manage, I want to do all those activities. Yeah. But sometimes it's just not possible. So, then something has to give, So then I'm a little nervous of like missing out a little bit. But, anyway, that's I think, what would answer your question, Ian.
Yeah, no, good answers. Yeah. So in the diving, if you could take 3 people underwater to see the underwater world, they don't necessarily have to be divers. They can be people of the past. Who would you take diving with you?
I would never take non-divers because it's really challenging. Okay, so I would say I would take my son and my daughter. We really enjoy diving together, So there would be 2, and then I would take Jacques Cousteau. So I would love to be in the presence of this gentleman because he was my childhood hero, and I would love to basically see him diving and and how he approaches this whole thing, because he actually developed the whole, thing, I guess, so that like normal people like us can go scuba diving. So that will be my 3 people: my son, my daughter, and Jacques Cousteau.
I think watching him dive would be quite an eye-opener.
Yeah.
I have a feeling quite a few of the agencies would be horrified, probably as well. But
of course,
he is the trailblazer.
50 meters, 60 meters, 50 meters on air, no problem. Yeah.
100 meters. He did Britannic on air as well.
Yeah.
Crazy, no?
Yeah, tough as nails as well. So there we go.
So imagine that would be fantastic having him underwater. You know,
we
and
have a
we
lot
dive
to
together.
thank him for. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So to be fair to him,
Yeah.
and there's actually he's probably the one name that crops up in our interviews, probably more than anybody's, isn't he?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, interesting.
He's inspired so many of the guests that we spoke to. You know, we're what 6 years into this, 200 odd episodes, 200 plus guests, and I'd say at least 2/3 of the people we have on give him as one of the people they'd want to dive with. Him and David Attenborough.
Oh yeah, right. As another. Oh, then Sylvia Earle would be another one. Sylvia Earle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and she's probably the top three.
And with her, you can still. I mean, I cannot imagine how old is she. She still goes diving. I heard.
She's in her 80s now, isn't she?
Yeah, she is, and she still goes diving. So that would be another one of those people who are really, I think, made a difference.
Well, right, last question. So we're going to give you a billboard. Okay, we're going to give you a billboard that is seen by the whole world, and you can put what you like on there. It can be a video, it can be an image, it can be a statement, but the whole world is going to see this billboard. What are you going to put on it? It's your space. Go.
Oh my God, that's a tough one, I guess. What would I put there? I would put remain calm. Remain calm. Yeah, I would put remain calm. I think this would be so helpful for many people around the world just to remain calm and not get so excited about all sorts of things. So, I mean, excited is good, but what a mess. Some parts of the world are a big mess, and let's not get into that, remain calm would be my billboard, I guess.
Remain calm and carry on.
Yeah.
Remain calm and carry, and that's, and then, and maybe that's useful for diving or free diving as well. Just remain calm. Whatever happens.
That's right, and it creates space, doesn't it? While you're calm, you've got space and time. Yeah. No,
if there is a huge whale shark swimming just past you, it's very challenging to remain calm, I think. So that's a kind of good reason to get a little bit excited, I guess.
Yeah, sad news because we lost Doug Allen a couple of days ago, and I was watching some bits and pieces about him on the news, and there's a great shot of him right near this massive, great big blue whale, and he's just there holding the camera, and you kind of think he must be an absolute, sorry to swear, but there's no other way of putting it, crapping himself, because although they're so and I've never seen him underwater, I'd love to see one underwater, but seeing something that big going around its business and you're just there, little tiny person holding this camera, it just must be absolute amazing. Things that just must blow your mind. I just can't imagine.
No, 100% life-changing event, I guess. Very
amazing shot of him. Brilliant, excellent.
Yeah, really, really good answers. So if people want to find out more about you, whereabouts can they find you on socials, website?
Oh yeah, people can go to my website is danfrolec.com, spelled DANFROLEC.com. You can find about what I do and a little bit some stories from crazy things. What we didn't discuss, for example, we shipwrecked in Sumba, one of the remote islands in Indonesia. We basically we hit the reef with a bunch of friends, in the middle of the night, and the boat basically had a big hole. So, there are more stories which we didn't cover today. So there are some of them on my website, so people can find me there. Yeah.
Back up. Hold on. So you went diving one night, and what? You hit the wreck?
No. We were sailing with a powerboat, crazy story, with a bunch of friends, and the captain was completely useless, and then the crew was useless. I mean, we wanted to circumnavigate Sumba, which is a remote island of Indonesia, quite big. And then anyway, and to cut long story short, they couldn't really figure navigation. And in the middle of the night, they basically hit reef in the 5 or 6 knots. A big hole in the boat. Luckily, the boat was jump on top of the reef, and then start taking water, so we cannot get out. Captain was crying and they're doing nothing. So we said, okay, let's rescue ourselves. I knew where is the land because there was a Southern Cross, which I noticed is there where the land is, but it was pitch black. Right? So we jump into dinghy. We took one guy from the crew. Okay, guys, let's go. So beach was like maybe 40 meters across like shallow reef, so it was okay. It was no big waves. So we basically ship. And then the captain and the crew rescued themselves as well. And next day we found ourselves on a remote beach, no phone signal, nothing. Right. And there's no people. Based on like offline maps, the next village is like 10 kilometers away, somewhere inland. And we were just there like a Robinson Crusoe. We took stuff from the boat. Luckily, the boat didn't sink, so we took stuff. We put canvas on top of some bushes. We had like 8 beers and 1 mango. That was it.
Beers, all right. Fine.
So anyway, there was no kids, nobody. It was like all adults.
Friday,
yeah, I think it was Friday. So anyway, so we somehow kind of managed, and then we found some local guy who was heading his goats. And then he took one of the guys by motorbike to the village, and then they call somebody from there. And anyway, then we figured.
Did he try and sell you one of his goats?
No. He was shocked because normally foreigners are not there. There are no foreigners on that part of Indonesia. On that island there are some foreigners, some tourists, but very small amount. But he was like, "What's happening? Like, where are these people coming from?" So that was kind of fun. Anyway, so this is one of the stories, and because, of course, we do a lot of different activities, sometimes stuff happens, right? What can I say?
Yeah.
I just can't imagine being on a dive boat, and when the proverbial hit the fan, you look over and you see your captain in tears. That's like, that helps. Great.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So anyway, he can, and then he wanted to blame us that we were guilty for that because something. It was fantastic. So
captain's can be the one in charge.
Yeah. But in Indonesia, there are some very, very good captains and very professional people, many of them. And there are also some which,
shouldn't be captains. They should be captains.
Actually, he didn't have license, so we didn't know. But he said he has, but we didn't really check. And then, so.
Gets better.
Yeah.
Sounds like another book. Yeah.
No, he knew how to manage the boat, but anyway, so it could be another short book, So anyway, so
there you go.
So that's that's the story. So danfrolec.com is the website. On Instagram, you can find me also on Dan Frolec, DANFROLEC. I'm on LinkedIn if people want to connect on anything business related. My book is called The Cave. The true story of 2 dads in an underwater labyrinth, and it can be found on Amazon if people want to listen to more about what happened and how it unfolded. So I think those would be the places where you can find me.
Go get the book. You've heard
we'll put the links in the show notes and a link to the book, and then hopefully some people will go over to Amazon and make a purchase.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
that's brilliant. No, thanks for coming on the Big Scuba Podcast.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed talking to you too. I love them. People are enthusiastic about diving and about ocean and about underwater world, So it's fantastic. I really enjoyed it, So if you happen to be in Indonesia anytime soon or later, you know where to find me, and I'll show you around a little bit, including free diving, Gemma, if that's what is on the list.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, I'm going to do that one day. Yeah. So
okay.
That's been, really, really good.
And keep going. It's fantastic that you are doing this and and bringing this kind of stories to people. So I really appreciate being here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No,
thank you. All right, let's do it. Thank you.
Great. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your evening. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
Bye,
Gemma. Bye.
Well, we want to say thanks for Dan Frolec coming on the Big Scuba Podcast and joining us and sharing that story. Well, one of a few stories there, and it sounds like he's got even more. So
sounds like
if you're listening and you want to hear more, get in contact and we'll see if we can get him on for some more stories.
Yeah. So obviously it's quite a traumatic story, one of them, and lots of lessons to be learned. So
don't go in a cave unless 1, you're qualified, 2, on your own, the list just goes on,
Yeah.
and although it's very easy for us to sit here and, say that stuff like that, because at the end of the day, he, at the moment, he didn't know it was a cave and he just thought he'd just jumping in. But
yeah, that's right. And the other thing I was thinking, obviously, they're in a foreign country. You don't know how the regulations work with those people that, like the Navy and
not
the
everybody follow him,
police.
do they? Not
No,
everybody follow him in this country, let alone,
no.
abroad and what have you. Yeah, sad story. Sad about the guy from the forces getting, not finding
Yeah.
his way out.
But again, they weren't really prepared for that kind of rescue mission, were they? If they didn't have torches even, and you think,
No,
wow.
and I think it's sometimes we don't know, but I'm only saying this, but I think sometimes it's when you look at the BZAC report, there's an element of ego
Mm,
gets involved, and we don't know whether the guy was trying his best to find the guy who hadn't come back, and and the people who were qualified weren't available. There could be all sorts of reasons why those two
yeah.
people went in. It's a sad story either way, isn't it? So
But also
um,
equally being held in custody for, do you say 5 weeks?
yeah, well, the guy came up with the knife in his chest.
Yeah, and
So
not knowing whether you're going to be
that's
released
just
or not.
absolutely horrific, isn't it? When you
Mm,
think about it.
yeah, yeah. But at least it didn't stop him, Dan, diving, and he took.
I can't help thinking that would take a lot of to do, even though most dive knives are not that sharp. Most people don't really keep them that sharp at all, and to actually get that in you, you've got to go some force.
Yeah,
Just
that's why I said about maybe narcosis, because
Yeah, but even
potentially,
worse, because you put a knife on on your ankle, right? You got a fairly good mobility to get hold of that, and I often see that at Stony, whatever. And you see some people jump in. And we've laughed about this before.
they got
It's great.
daggers.
They got swords on their ankles. Because the sharks you get in Stony are quite scary. And the other things that come out at you. You never know if you need a sword, do you, at Stony? And and you think, well, you've got to grab hold of that with a dry suit on or something like that, and it's not the easy thing to actually get. I mean, if you're down in the middle of panic and all that,
Well,
difficult.
it throws your buoyancy out as well when you start moving and leaning over. You're coming out of.
Who we spoke to, I think, was it Mr. Corbett or somebody, told us about when they've done cave diving. Thomas's probably, go and cave diving on singular. They might have somebody else in the cave or whatever, but if there's two of you, you can soon one person can stir it up for the other. But yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, the guy didn't know he was going into a cave.
No, no. So, but the other thing I was just about to say is it's good that Dan then took it upon himself to do a dive cave course
Yeah, well, yeah,
because
why
of that
not?
experience. Yeah, because there'd be a lot of people that probably would have stopped diving potentially if you're kind of that close to something so tragic. And he's taken it and kind of made it into a book, yeah, and he's also increased his scuba skills by doing a cave course. So that I think it's good that he can appreciate where there were weaknesses, and he now
Well,
brings
we
that
never
over.
stop learning, do we? And I think
No.
even though you might not actually go and use those skills, in what they're designed for, it's all good stuff. Because hey, you never know, you might find yourself in a overhead environment where it's now gone cloudy, and you think, how do I now get myself out of here?
Yeah.
Wrecks that can happen in wrecks, can happen.
Well,
Anywhere,
currents as
really.
well. Yeah, a current can bring poor visibility in very quickly. So yeah, but no, it was good. He was a really enthusiastic and exciting guest. Yeah.
I like the last story though. That was quite amusing.
Robinson
Imagine,
Crusoe. Yeah.
and this is quite, I suppose this is where we are well off in this country. That well, I can't think of a time I've had a bad skipper.
No.
They've always had really good skippers, and most of the skippers that operate the dive boats around the country, they've dived them. They grew up in that area. They know the areas, and if the skipper says, "Hey, we're not doing that one today. We're doing something else," it's like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine at all." You don't argue.
And it's well regulated.
But when the poo hit the fan and you look round, the skipper's in tears. It's like, anyone else in charge?
No, I think some of like the YouTube people, the sailors, you see them out in Indonesia, and it is just incredible how remote some of these places are.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and the reefs.
Miles, absolutely thousands of miles from anywhere.
Yeah.
Bikini Atoll and all those, those sort of places, there's no, so I think some of them motor for a whole day, and, it's, they are very remote at best.
Yeah, it's hard to contemplate, isn't it, when we've got everything within reach here, communications, Wi-Fi.
That's why you need to be on a good boat as well, because like you might think you're on a big boat, but once you get in that ocean, that's a tiny little thing.
So you're a tiny speck, floating or
all good experience, and he survived to tell the tale, so that's good.
Yeah. So have a look at the links in the show notes, and maybe order a copy of his book for, I think it would be an entertaining read.
Yeah, I think it would. The Cave. There we go.
Cave. Yes, so we'll put the link.
Talking about cave diving and wreck diving and stuff like that, let's shout out to our lovely sponsors, Narked at 90. They are beyond technical. The service is even beyond technical as well.
Yes, so anything for your wreck diving, cave diving, rebreather diving, they're the guys that can help you.
Yeah. Also, we've recently paired up with a new company called Circular & Co. And have a look at them. They make some interesting beakers and mugs and things like that. Some of them made out of chewing gum, which is quite...
Yes.
Which is a bit weird, isn't it? Chewing gum. Who knew? Yeah,
we did a post yesterday about them. And we have now been followed by the company that actually recovers the gum and makes it clean to be made into things. So
that's a lot of gum.
It is, but so they're Circular & Co. You can use the code BIGSCUBA and you get
they're kind of connected to Waterhaul, who we're also associated with as well, isn't it?
Yes, because they do a range of these recyclable coffee cups or cups. So there's one made of bubble gum, there's one made out of recycled trainers, but they've linked up with Waterhaul because they use the ghost fishing nets recycled and make a beaker or cup out of those.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. Excellent. Good stuff. They've got quite in our Amazon book. There's quite a few. So many of our guests have had books out, haven't they? Over the years. So there's quite a list of books you can go to rather than looking at them individual. You can just go to our page, and there'll be a whole plethora of scuba related books.
Yes, great for gifts for anybody's birthday, or get some
Father's Day coming up. Father's Day is June, I think.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then also don't forget we've got a YouTube channel where we've got some recent films from the Go Diving Show, and also a back catalogue of all these podcasts. There's 220 plus.
Oh, free to download. Go.
And don't forget to tell your dive buddies and your friends, and I'm sure they'll gain something from all the podcasts. There's always something to get out of them.
Yeah, and we the only thing we ask is if you are downloading these episodes, if you can leave us a 5-star review if you haven't done already, because it just helps the old algorithm gods look down upon us all favorably and helps spreads the word. So if you can do that for us, and if you want to get in contact, if you've got a story to tell, we want to hear from you. We've got a few people lined up. But anything interesting that particularly you want to share? Maybe it's something funny. We particularly like if there's something different in the diving world that you do. Like we had magicians, we had chefs, astronauts, people like that. So maybe it's a different, we've had saturation divers, commercial divers, instructors, explorers, photographers, you name it. But if there's anything different that you do, or something or maybe you have got a book or film coming out, whatever, and you're listening to this, then raise your hand, get in contact, and we'll get you on.
Yes, yeah, and it doesn't need to be exclusively scuba diving related, because we have spoken to people that are just passionate about being on the water, around the water. We've spoken to a sailor, solo sailors, paddle boarders. So yeah, there's lots out there. Just give us a DM, drop us an email, and we'll definitely.
And it doesn't even matter what part of the world you're in, as you just heard, you've been listening to. Dan was all the way over in Bali, so there we go. It does work.
Yes, yeah. So we look forward to hearing from you, and just want to say thank you for downloading and listening to the podcast.
Excellent. Well, it was
the BiG Scuba Podcast.